just don't ever give up on yourself. Sometimes I was discouraged in how long it took to get through a step or to arrange a surgery, but always see that light that will lead you in the direction you want to go.
Welcome back to the Better Fitness Proof podcast. I'm joined by one of our amazing members, Diane. Diane, can you say hello to everybody and then introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Diane Yannick, and I am 73 years old, and I have tried the fitness route quite a few times, but I'd sort of like to tell you about why I haven't always been successful. When I was 55, I fell on my head, and I have a brain injury. I also had a lot wrong with my body, and I had to go to Bryn Mawr rehab and get myself fixed up again. And then I had to get my mind so that I never got to go back to teaching, but I'm able to tutor and I'm able to do a lot of things, but this is like 18 years later. I don't have a cane anymore. And when I first started at BentOnBetter, I didn't realize that I had a heart problem. So I think I ran out of here in tears one day because...
Hold on, you're getting so ahead. This is so... Let's capture their interest now. Make them stick around because I know the story and you're doing such a good job captivating, but I want to have some time too. I want to tell everybody how amazing you've been.
You want to talk?
Oh my goodness, only for a little
bit.
Right. Just to talk you up and then give it back to you. So I've been so excited to have you to come and talk to me on this podcast. We were just saying this earlier because of how amazing and inspiring your story is. And what people don't know and they won't see and understand is you got started on this fitness journey years back when we first met. So that's where I want to start. I want to start back. That was a good introduction, though. That was really good because it helped paint the picture of where you were. And when we met, it was right before Joey was born. So it was a little over 5 years ago. So we've known each other for more than half of a decade, which is really exciting to hear. Think about. But when we started working together at the YMCA.
Yes.
In a little fitness program that I helped pioneer and put together. And you came in and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to get rolling and ready to understand everything. And we took it slow. So let's walk it back to that, and then we'll jump back to where you were because it's so good.
Okay.
The story is so good, and people want to know it. But we caught them. Now you're listening. Now they're watching. Now they want to hear. They want to hear.
I thought I was just full speed ahead. You know.
I know. That's how you operate now. It's full speed ahead. There's no looking back, and that's what I love, and why this story is going to be so inspiring. So let's take it back. Take me back to even before we met at the Y, before all that time. What was your life like back in the day, back in your day?
Well, I mostly had a lot of rehab. And
you had a lot of rehab?
Yeah, I had a bad knee and I had fallen a lot, and I exercised at the hospital. And then I just decided I was going to go to the YMCA because it was time.
What was this? Give me a timeline of when that happened for you.
It was probably like 8 years later that I got enough. I went to counseling for 8 years first and just tried to get used to my new normal. And then I signed up for this class at the YMCA, and I didn't really understand you had to get on the scale every week, or I probably would have never signed up.
Right? I wouldn't have done it if I hadn't realized you had to do it every week. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I just wanted to get some good nutritional advice, which I did. But during that time, I realized that maybe we were a match. If you were going to start your own place, that I wanted to be part of that. So
where were you before the injuries with your knee and before that 8-year time period before you decided to do the Y? What was life like for you before that? So you were a teacher?
I was a
Right?
teacher.
Right?
I taught for many years,
How many
over
years?
40.
40? Over 40.
And
What
wait a
age?
minute. I taught for probably 35 years. I exaggerated a little. And I taught middle school. And then my daughter got to be in middle school, and I didn't want to do that anymore. So I went to elementary school, and I became a reading specialist. And teaching kids how to read is just my passion. So during that time, I signed up for any kind of exercise class that the school district offered, and I met people and went for walks. But I didn't do anything real consistently.
And then the time passed. You continued on that journey of being a life-changing teacher and teaching kids how to read. And that brought you to a time in your life when you considered, what was the next step for you? After teaching, after you had been doing it for 35 years or plus, what was your next step? What was that journey like?
It was really hard for me to quit teaching. Like, I went in one day and then I fell and I never got to teach again. So
the fall is what caused you to stop teaching.
yeah, I had a brain injury that they decided that I wasn't able to teach anymore.
Oh my goodness.
So I used to tell the kids stories, so I did go back in, maybe a whole year later, and I got the kids together and I told them why I hadn't been there and told them a story, and then I felt like I had a little bit of closure, but it was really a hard time for me because...
Yeah. Do you remember that story?
Yes.
Would you mind
was
sharing?
The paper bag princess. And she had a real bossy prince. And he had all sorts of ideas for how to be a princess. And in the end, she had her own way. And it worked out fine. But I like strong women's stories.
I like strong women's stories too. I have a lot of strong women on this team, and actually our team is dominated by 3 strong women. You know all 3 of them. Lynn, Alicia, Molly. They dominate just the 2 of me and Nick. They dominate, and they do. And there's 3-2, so they always win. They always will win because they're way stronger than us. And there's no question in my mind that women are superior to men. After seeing Lynn give birth to both our boys, no question in my mind. Women will always be stronger than men. Always. And any guy, you can argue until you're blue in the face. Like, women will always be stronger. I mean it. I mean it. So the paper bag princess got her way eventually.
Yes, and the dragon and the prince went off with their heads down, and it was good. I didn't know if I could do it, but I'm really big on challenging myself. Wow. So I gave it a try, and it definitely worked out.
So now what do you do in regard to teaching? Because I think you're still involved with teaching.
Yeah, until this COVID, I keep calling it the plague. Before that, I always went in and helped out a 1st or 2nd grade teacher for one afternoon a week. But now we can't go back in, so I have set up a real good, safe environment in my basement, and I have a tutoring room, and I see like maybe 6 kids, and I have so much fun planning their lessons and figuring out how to get them to be better writers and readers, and not only to be better, but to love it.
What age?
Right now, I have first through fifth,
First through fifth grade.
and I don't do math.
Me neither.
This is Singapore math.
I can do the plus and the minus. That's about it. I can count the weights on the barbell, and that's about as far as I'll go with math. So you're a teacher, so you're still getting to teach kids. You still get to work
Oh,
with
I
kids.
am. I'm so lucky.
You still get to change lives. It's so awesome.
I volunteer at the Westchester Uptown Theater, and I have my own book club where I'm the boss.
You have your own book club. Oh my gosh.
I've
that's
had
so
it
cool.
for 12 years.
That's so cool.
It's one of the first things I did. It's always at my house, and I always lead the discussions, and I pick all the books.
What was one of the most recent books you've read?
We just read Hollywood Park, which is a story about a musician, Michael Jolet, and oh my gosh, he was part of a cult, and it's just one of these stories where you don't think somebody stands a chance, and they come out and they're on top, and I never get tired of those stories.
Love those stories. Love those stories for the fighting underdog who has everything pinned against them and back against the wall. And
I
figure it out.
know, and they just tough it out,
I love those stories. And that's kind of like your story. So you had this injury. You had this terrible, horrific fall that caused a terrible brain injury that made you stop doing what you loved. And then your back was against the wall. You had everything turned against you, and yet you still prevailed. You've started your own teaching in your house that is in a very safe and I'm sure very caring environment that you get to change the lives of these kids. You have started your own book club and been running that for 12 years. And now, bringing it up to the current time, you've been working on yourself and your fitness and your mindset with us here at BentOnBetter.
I really have, and just forgive me if every once in a while I lose my train of thought. It's nothing that I really can control. But I come in here for my one-on-one session, and today was my 23rd time since I got 2 heart devices. I got this brand new pacemaker, which is super duper, and I feel better than I have in several years. And then I have something to keep me from getting blood clots. So Nick is aware that, or whoever works with me, that...
It's Nick. Let's give Nick all the credit, right?
Let's give Nick the credit.
Let's give Nick the credit.
He knows that this arm doesn't work as well as the other one, and it's getting better. And I'll come in and I'll say to him, Nick, I tried gardening for an hour and I couldn't make it. I was just too tired. Or I did make it, and he'll say, Diane, let's celebrate what you did do. So he's my cheerleader. He just knows how to take things at a real gradual pace and make them just a little bit harder. Now, I have to admit, sometimes I give him the stink eye. Like, we had this ball against the wall, and I don't usually do that. And man, he just kept saying, 3 more, 3 more.
Nick's good at that. He'll catch you. Maybe he says, okay, 3 more. And you complete those, and he realizes, you know what, she probably has 3 more in her. And I'll have him do 3 more. He's good at that.
He'll study me.
Yeah.
And he'll know if I'm holding back a little bit. And I had really a hard time doing a squat on holding the TRX. Now I can do 10 by myself.
Yay.
I thought I could only do 8, but the other day I found out I can do 10.
And you emailed me when you did that too, right? That was like, give me some. You were so, oh, it's so good. It's so good. That's a huge deal. That's a huge deal.
And I mean, I used to fall and not be able to figure out how to get up. This was before, maybe 7 years ago or something. But now I know 3 ways to get up. and I'm not falling. We're working on balance. We're going up and down the steps. And I'll say, Nick, I've noticed that I'm bending a little bit forward when I go up the steps at home. So he'll say, okay, I know what to do about that. And nothing is too big a challenge, or I can't tell him exactly how I'm feeling or what I'm worried about. I realized I wasn't lifting my feet quite high enough if I was going to walk on bricks in Westchester, and I've corrected that. It's just every lesson he plans just as carefully as I plan my reading lessons. But if he has to change it because I've got sore shoulders or something, then he'll adjust it. But we'll always move forward. Maybe not that time, but the next time. And I just really feel committed to working his program. And it's, for me, I don't mean to sound all dramatic, but it's really life-changing because I feel much more stable. I feel like, things as simple as putting your feet apart to make a good base, and how to breathe. I'm pretty good at cat-cow now.
Yeah, are you?
Mm-hmm.
You're working on that?
Mm-hmm.
It's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good one.
And it's not all serious, although there have been a couple times when I try to get an extra little breather in by some subject I brought up. He doesn't buy into that.
Oh, trying to sneak in those little extra breaths by talking, get him off track. I see. You're not alone in that. Other people do that to us all the time.
He said, I'll answer your question while you're doing these hinges.
Yes.
And I think I told you I was picking up a flower pot. I said, Nick, I just couldn't remember whether to do a squat or a hinge. And so we pretended like I was doing it and figured it out. And there's not always one right answer, but there's something that I can do to make it easier for my body. Right now, I asked him today, and he wasn't too big on it. He said you wouldn't like it. I have a really hard time getting off this beanbag that I put in the tutoring room, and I don't always sit on it, but sometimes I like to. I said, Nick, I want to bring that beanbag in and show you how hard it is for me to get up.
You should. You should. These are the things that we love and why we exist as a facility, as a coaching staff, and as a team, because we want to show people, our programming is not only, yes, it's very intelligent because we take the time to plan everything out, whether it's on a personal one-on-one setting like you experience, or in our small group setting that we do, which is the same as what you have. It's just in a shared group instead of a one-on-one. So there's a little more attention for you versus out there it's still individualized but broken up between people, shared. But all of the programming, we think, what are people doing and what are they doing on a regular basis that we can help them by constantly cueing them and constantly giving them feedback here, so that way at home they don't have to think about it. It just happens naturally. So a lot of things like farmer carries or squats, a couple of people have come up to me and I remember in the past and said, are we doing squats today? We do squats every day. I said, you better believe we're doing squats today. We do them every day because you're going to squat every single day. Do you go to the bathroom once a day? You squat. You need to do squats. And that's what we do. But you have a really interesting part of this story that I think is also really inspiring, that your journey, yes, when we met, it kind of began in our world together, started in before Joey was born. So that was in I think beginning of 2016, the New Year was January 2016. So we met and we worked together at the Y, and then some time went past, and I ended up going out and opened this place. And you came and decided to work with us in 2018. You said, you know what, I want to work with you guys. And, we had our session to figure out what you needed and what we wanted to do, and you joined it and you started making progress, and you started doing things, and then you realized I think something happened, right? Something happened that had to set you back, and you were even committed at that time to doing not only personal training but also some group stuff. You were doing, I think, once a week group once a week one-on-ones. And then what happened?
And then my cardiologist felt that I was not in good enough shape to be doing the exercise. And I had to make some tough decisions. Right now, I'm totally dependent on this pacemaker, and I'm doing great. But I had to let her know that I wanted to get back to exercise. And so the decisions we made together were toward that goal. And there for a while, and one of the years I wasn't here, probably 2018, I was in the hospital for extended stays 8 times that year.
Oh.
And I had some problems with some of the procedures, and I was walking with a cane again. And I did not want to come back here with a cane. So as soon as I could, I got the approval. And I'll tell you, Nick was he's like, I want to see your cardiologist sign off on this.
Yeah.
And once she saw, I had to prove to her that I was ready, but once she saw that I was ready, she was gung-ho. Now she asks me, are you still seeing Nick?
Yes.
And I'm like, yes.
Oh, that's so good.
So
that's inspiring, and I know that whoever is listening right now or watching right now, they get a better idea of not only your story, but they get a better idea of what's possible. And too often in life, we have setbacks. It's one thing that's guaranteed in life is change, and that time's always going to pass, right? And the change tends to be in any form: good change, bad change, setbacks. That's a change. It's something that gets in the way of whatever journey or path we're on. And so for you, the journey changed, and you decided to take that step and join the Y. And then that journey changed because something came up, and then you started again in 2018, and then another setback happened. And every time there's a setback, we have 2 options. One, we can let it happen and let it diminish us and call that the end. And whether it's mentally or physically or both, we can quit and be done. Or we can push forward. Because we only have one life. We only have one body. But actually, if you think about it, we have 2 lives and we have 2 bodies. If you think of it, the second one happens to be the one that is recognizing that we only have the one. And if you can go that route, and if you think about that one life, or that body, that second body, right, then you'll appreciate the one that we do have. And you did that. You continue to push forward with every setback because it was an opportunity for you to have a comeback. And you came back multiple times, and now you're back, and you've been back, and now 23 sessions later, you're sitting down with me, and when this comes out, I'm sure it's going to be way more than 23.
I hope so.
Because, well, you're already committed to it.
I'm committed.
You signed the paper, you say, I'm in, I'm committed. You fully committed to everything, you were ready, and you're doing it. And you're showing up consistently, Diane, and we are so proud of you.
Thank you.
We're so proud of you.
I just feel better. When I walk out of here, I feel like I've done something important. And then I have a friend here, more than one.
Yes,
but
plural.
I have friends here who care about my progress. They don't just point to a random machine and say, do that for 10 minutes. It's like, okay, what can we do to make your body stronger? I have teenage grandchildren, and I want to see them graduate and get married, and I have lots of things to live for, and I just want to be strong, and I'm going to do everything I can that's possible. And right now, I just don't feel like I'm going to have any setbacks.
Love it. I love it. So good. So I want to do this. I'm going to do a quick commercial.
Okay.
Okay. And then while I do my little thing, I want you to think about what you would say. And this is going to be how we're going to sign off. This is how we're going to end the entire podcast. So I want you to think of everything you'd want to say to someone who is going through a similar time to you. Maybe they had an injury that was a setback that was more than just a couple of weeks or a couple of months. And they're going through something and they're struggling and questioning whether or not they can get back to whatever it is, or if they can begin a new journey like you have multiple times. So think about what you say to that person, and then I'm going to do that, okay? So for you, if you're hanging out with us, hey, thanks so much for hanging out on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe button, click that little bell too, and give the little alerts when our next podcast comes out. And of course, if you've enjoyed this, leave us a thumbs up and leave a comment section below. Like, what are you going through right now? What struggles are you having? Or how inspired are you by Diane's story? Tell us in the comment section below. And if you're listening to this on a podcast, whatever podcast platform you're listening to, make sure you give us a 5-star rating, because that's how we'll continue to know that you love us. And if you don't love us, that's okay. Just send me an email. Send me an email over at Matt, at BentOnBetter.com, and I'll get back to you and hear everything you have to tell us about improving this show. But for now, it's a pretty amazing show. We're going to end on an amazing note. So I'm going to swing it back over to you, Diane. Give us your everything and your all and everything you could possibly say to this person.
Just don't ever give up on yourself. Sometimes I was discouraged in how long it took to get through a step or to arrange a surgery, but always see that light that will lead you in the direction you want to go. And I've really had a rocky path, and I just feel so upbeat at age 73, soon 74. And I want you to feel that way too. And I want you to know that this isn't a run-of-the-mill place. This is a personalized, caring place that will celebrate your victories and share your bad days. Nick said that I had an especially good day today, and that made me feel wonderful, because I want to do everything that I can to make sure that I'm a strong, healthy septuagenarian. Is that the right word?
I love it. That was so good. That was so good. Oh, well, Diane, thanks so much for hanging out with us. And thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you next time, okay? Bye.